people? It's another beautiful day in San Diego, California. I have some things I'd like to share with you, some teachings and some knowledge. I generally don't go on video, but I think it's time to start sharing this information rather than just text messages. So first off, here is the book, the Satanic Manifesto, Declaration of War. Is a war against the religions of suppression and the teachings which attempt to enslave us and those of our descendants. It is the teachings that have been forced upon our parents, our grandparents. It is a lie. In my book, I addressed the story of religions, history of religions, and the manipulated history, how these teachings came about, and how they were manipulated through the Nicene Council and other councils, and to control and suppress the masses. I have had pushback by other priests saying that the teachings I'm espousing are not allowed to be taught to the general public because these are teachings that are given only to initiates of the higher orders. I told them I have been instructed to give this information by those whom they may inquire, and they understood what I'm saying. I have been instructed to do this. This has been 3 years in the making. We have been working in the last 2 years to prepare our websites, prepare for the book, to get this information out there, because it's time that the world knows that these religions are lies and history of those religions, and to reveal a way for each individual to experience spirituality for themselves, regardless of whether you're a member of a church, order, or a lodge. We have been granted the ability to give individuals the teachings to become self-initiated without ever having to meet us. I, however, I am a 9th degree black magus. I was initiated by the laying on of hands, the purpose of which is to open the gates of hell in the soul of man by one who already has them open. The Cathars, the Gnostics of the 2nd century CE, they called this rite the Caitahnyah. The Caitahnyah conferred the Holy Ghost upon the new initiates, which is Shekinah, Ruach HaKodesh in Hebrew. We conferred the infernal spirit, Baphomet, the whore of darkness, the wife of Satan, and we opened the gates of hell in the soul of man. However, one must have the gates open in themselves before they can open the gates for someone else, right? And so this is how you create new links in the chain of initiation. However, our instructions and the teachings we're presently giving will allow you to open the gates of hell in your soul on your own without ever having to meet us. You can acquire the 7th degree of Adeptus Major, or black, or 7th degree black magus, black adept, as we call it in our order, without ever having to meet anyone outside of yourself. And that make you a black adept, or also Adeptus Major, as it's called in some lodges. Beyond that, you must cross the void, which is commonly called the abyss, which is not actually the abyss. It's only a portion of the abyss in the Kabbalah. They call the void between the lower Sephiroth and the higher Sephiroth the abyss. This is not. This is the first level of the abyss. This is Ha-Tohu. There are two levels of the abyss. It's Ha-Tohu, Ha-Tehum, Ha-Tehum Rabbah. Ha-Tehum Rabbah is the great abyss below the tree, and it's something more than what they say it is, right? Now, the only way to cross the void, Ha-Tohu, is to be initiated by someone who has already descended to that level of initiation. So in order to become an 8th degree Satanic Master, or Magister Templi, as it's called in some orders, you must then be initiated by someone who has already descended to that level. However, that's once you're pretty far in your spiritual experiences, your evolution, right? Unnecessary. You can reach the 7th degree. There are 10 degrees of initiation. You can accomplish the 7th degree on your own without ever having to meet anybody. I promise you, if you follow the directions and instructions which are inside my book and teaching which I've been granted to share with you, you will experience these things for yourself. You will accomplish communication with these entities. You will see them. You will hear them. And you will see that spirituality and religion, because we are satanic mystics, we adhere not to any doctrine. We use doctrine as a roadmap that to get us started on the path of spiritual evolution, and from there we branch off and we experience it for ourselves, right? So doctrine serves only as a starting point. It's not the law, it is the starting point. And so for the present generation, because the teachings change, according to time and circumstance. The present generation, it is time to teach more than what has been revealed. Again, you will never have to be this. You will never have to fucking be initiated. You will get to a 7th degree. There's only 10 degrees of initiation. 7th degree on your own. You will experience the things, the likes, the which, the majority of the people of the earth experience only through movies if you follow our instructions. We ask for no monetary compensation. You don't need to go to church. You don't need to give us donations. I teach everything for free. However, I will encourage buying the book only for the purpose for you have the full teaching, because it's a lot of information. It's hard for me on an individual basis. I can't teach individual on a basis because on an individual basis because it's too much text. It's too much to write. So I put out there for everybody, right? And so this is for everybody. So however, if you get the book, if you study what I posted so far, I encourage you to ask me questions. If you ask me questions, I will teach you for free. Any questions, whatever, on demonism, on communication, on the demon call, which is accomplished demonic union with spiritual entity to acquire its power. I will guide you on this if you ask me questions. You have my Facebook profile. You have my email is kihdd999@gmail.com. My email is by night not day @gmail.com. My website is the Black Synagogue of Satan. The link for that is on my Facebook website. Also have a number of sites where you can reach me at, emails. So I encourage you, reach out to me, ask me the questions of anything, and I'll tell you for free. I'll guide you for free. But the book, it covers history of religion, their means, their modes of suppression. It reveals the greed, the covetousness, and the way that they have manipulated these teachings over the years in order to stop people from thinking for themselves, right? So in the book, I address the structures of the 7 heavens, the structures of the 7 hells, the cliffot. I talk about the cliffot. Pendulum evocation is a ritual for beginners. Anyone who follows the instructions on this chapter can establish communication with the fallen angels on their own. A name will be given to you, a name of demon to work with, and once you start working with said demon, who 9 times out of 10 name will not be in any book, he will guide you and give you power, open your third eye, and you eventually establish audible communication. Once audible communication is established, then you're on your own. You don't need a church. You are your walking temple. You don't need the fucking you serve no one but yourself. So right here in the back, you see here, this is I talk about how to the 9 angles of poles inside the human soul. I say how to call the demons into your flesh to open your third eye. The structures of the 7 hells. Alom Ha Cliffot 777 777 is the numerical value of Alom Ha Cliffot. This is the world of the shell, the world of darkness. This is the tree of death at Smoth. Opposite that is Etzchayim, the tree of life. Even in Kabbalistic literature, it talks about the generation of Etzchayim and Etzmoth when the Lord separated light from the darkness. Genesis chapter 1. This alludes to the war that has been going on since before the creation of the earth. And that's when the trees, lights, and death were created. The story in the Garden of Eden, Genesis, I believe, chapter 1, verse maybe 2 and 3. There are actually 2 different stories in there about the creation of Adam and Eve. These are allegorical stories. They allude to the manifestation, or rather the descent of spirit into matter. And because these books are written by mystics, they are not intended to be taken esoterically. They're esoteric teachings to encode their experiences that they have seen and heard in spiritual realms. However, modern religionists have either misunderstood, greed, or ignorance, and misinterpreted these teachings. But they were just guides to get you, roadmaps to get you started on the path to spiritual evolution. And so, speaking of the cliffot, I touch upon not only the portal symbols, not only the means of entry points into the human body. These are the 7 hells. These are portal symbols to access the 7 hells on your own through meditation. I have the complete rituals for you to see hell while I'm still in the flesh. And let's see back here. These are the Qliphoth. These are the 10 orders of the 10 spheres of the Tree of Death. It's Moth. They're not Sephiroth. There's no planetary correspondences because the portions of hell it's not here. It's the stars or the energies they're from. They're somewhat different from the trees of life. Here's Lilith. We have Gamaliel. We have Samael, Qliphoth, Arab Zarek. These entities they're commonly called the cohorts of Qliphoth, which they are cohorts, but then they're not, because it's kind of tricky when you're dealing with demonic forces, because a demon contains within its body all the demons under its command. So though it may be plural, like Legion in Mark 5:9, my name is Legion, for we are many. He was one, but he was many, because all the demons live inside him. Us, as satanic mystics, we intentionally call demonic powers into our bodies. Though we are one, we are many, because they're the demons that rise inside our flesh. They come not only with themselves, but the demons under their command. So in that sense, we are like them. We are many, but we are one. E pluribus unum. And here we have Tegirwan, Galohab. See here, this is Gal Shakala, Satariel. And then we have Agiel, Thamiel. And also I touched upon the archdemons, how to communicate with them, how to access the hells, rites of initiation, how to open the gates of hell in your body, because there are 14 gates of heaven, 14 gates of hell. We have the codes and the rites to open, and the names to open these gates within yourself to experience this for yourself. This is my site, the Black Synagogue of Satan. We are attempting to reveal the lies which have been forced upon humanity. And I invite you to join me in my endeavors. We're attempting global endeavors. This has been 3 years in the making. I've been instructed years ago to begin my teachings and do what I've done. I've been initiated. Again, I'm a naturally black magus. My word and my initiation is war, and I intend to bring it. I thank you, and hail Satan. All right, people. So we are going to talk about today what we're going to cover in the course, our aims, intentions, what we will accomplish at the end, by the end of the course. It's going to be an entire course on satanic mysticism. A mystic has direct communication with the spiritual realm. We did not adhere to doctrine. We use doctrine as a roadmap, as I voiced before. This is what gets us started on the road to self-evolution. And from there, we go off and we experience the stuff for ourselves. We learn not from others, but from the entities with which we establish communication with. So we're going to cover all the grounds of meditation, from beginner to intermediate to adept. By the end of this course, you will establish communication with the fallen angels. You will speak with the personal demonic guide. You will have a demon guide which will walk with you for the rest of your life. It will help protect you from incidents, circumstances, situations that may be, adverse to you. And there are a number of ways to do this. It puts thoughts to your mind to, kind of make you veer away from doing something you shouldn't do. Once you get to a certain level, once your heart chakra becomes active, you will feel it in here, whether something's right or wrong. So there are a number of different ways you will receive guidance. However, you must get to this level of spiritual evolution in order to accomplish this. And we will cover all of that and more in the courses which we are presently studying. So we're going to start with the basics. We would do first body relaxation, get the body ready, because when you're meditating, you have to be there for at least a half hour to an hour maybe. As you progress further and further, and you get closer to the end of your call, which would be a demon call, to acquire this demonic guide, you then will have to call for like an hour and a half, maybe a night, possibly 2 hours, and then it progressively grow. It will get pretty arduous towards the end. However, you will experience things before you get to this point. Even you can also break up the meditation, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes or 40 minutes at night, but as you start, you start slow, 10 minutes, 15 minutes is good just to begin. You say prayers And then you take it from there. You build as you go. You're not going to just the first night do 2-3 hours. You know, that's not necessary. It's not going to happen. So we will guide you through all this. We will start with the body relaxation to get your body comfortable to be able to either sit in an asana for an extended period of time, or also the prostrate, because essentially what we do is it is a form of submission where you must prostrate, and you call it the force we're working with, right? But we get to all that. So this is just a quick overview of what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be experiencing. So once we get the body relaxation down, we're going to start doing energy, body work, breath work. With the breath, thoughts are things, and energy follows thought. So with the breath, when you breathe in, you're breathing energy, you're moving forces through your body, right? And so this is how we work at the chakras. This is how the chakras are activated. They're activated with the breath, with the mind, with intention. When you breathe in, energy comes to chakras, and you feel it, and you see it forming inside the chakra, and just opens them up. The more your chakras are open, the more your spiritual antenna rises, so to speak. And so when this happens, you start experiencing this stuff for yourself. It's very simple. There are no correspondences. There are no planetary hours. We don't give a heck about holidays, holy days, and superfluous things that religion just push on people to buy their chicken treats and to buy their Easter bunnies and stuff. That's fun for the kids, but that's not religion, and we don't need that. Okay, so we are going to bypass all that, just focus on the simplicity of meditation, the simplicity of clearing your mind, and the simplicity of calling these forces to work with them. After you get some experience in meditation, and we will then cover the demon call. The demon call will be, once you establish communication with an entity, you will call it unto you. However, before we get to this particular aspect of our course, you must first establish communication with one to get this name in order to call it upon you. We're going to cover that too. We're going to cover demonic communication, meditation, demonic communication, how to establish demonic communication, how to receive the name of a guardian and a guide, how to pray to it, how to call it unto you. The purpose of these forces are it's part of spiritual evolution, right? And so once we call them through the mode of communication, which we will show you, you then will be able to access this entity, these spirits, and call them forth. We will share with you also the methods of descending to the 7 hells. There are 7 hells, 10 palaces in hell. Once you ascertain the hell the demon that you're working with is from, through guided meditation, you will descend to that particular hell, to the Chi of Death at Smoth, at Smallveth, and their pronunciation of it, depending on which dialect you're using. And go down there and bring that entity back up from the particular hell, up into your body to the 9 angles, and you will acquire its power. You merge it. It's just kind of similar to what Aleister Crowley taught in his Bhakti yoga, right? I believe it was Libra Astarte, where he taught that to worship an entity, a god, spirit, whatever, in order to absorb its power. And this is essentially along those lines. Vajrayana Buddhism has a similar practice where a Vajrayana master has a disciple, and he gives the disciple the name of a god to call and an invocation to use with that particular entity, right? And so that's kind of similar. What we do, again, all mystics have the same teachings, essentially. It's just the names and whatnot change according to time, circumstance, and location, right? So everything we're doing is similar to what others have done, although they have not expressed in such detail which we're doing now. There's some aspects to the teachings that are not given to the initiates. They're only given to the initiates of the higher orders. We are bypassing all that. We're giving everything out. You don't have to ever meet us. You don't ever have to join a lodge, a church, or anything. You are your own walking temple. You can become your own God. This is true. And you would never have to meet us. So what we are doing is we're putting everything on the table, right? and you will see and hear for yourself. You know, to believe what I say, I believe what my initiative say. You're gonna see it for yourself, right? And so we're going to follow the instructions which I have in my book, the Satanic Manifesto, a Declaration of War. If you want the entire philosophy of everything, I encourage you to buy the book. But it's to actually practice, you don't need it. But if you want to get it, there it is. It's available on Amazon. So that we have this is our website, the Black Synagogue of Satan. And so we're on there. I'm going to start incorporating our various websites, YouTube channel. I'll have a podcast coming up, and a couple of other sites. I'm going to start connecting everything. I'm going to start linking everything up. Again, I've expressed this before. This has been 3 years in the making. We're waiting for the book to be done. I've been practicing for 25 years. I'm a high priest of Satan. I'm a black magus. My word is war. And because every magus is given a word at the ordination. Alistair Crowley had the lemma, which is will. Anton LaVey had indulgence. And Michael Aquino of the Temple of Set, he had Kepher, which means to become. Every high priest or magus, if you will, is given a word, and the word they're given at the ordination is a word on which they base their teachings. Right? My word is war. It is a war against the against resistance of suppression, but also it's a war of life, right? And our battlefields are the planes of everyday existence. We're the fight for a better job, the fight to give our children a better upbringing than we had, the fight for better education. There are many forms of war, and our purpose is to demonstrate that with acts of will and with a strong mind and with the assistance of demonic power, these wars can be won, and you will succeed in your endeavors upon this earth. So that's what we're doing, kids. So this gets started. This is just an intro. Again, this is an intro. This is what we're going to be doing. We'll be covering everything from meditation to communication to satanic ritual. We're also going to have talk about satanic ritual magic, how it works, how to do it, satanic frame right, how to call the four evil kings of the four corners of the earth. We are also going to cover again the demon call, which the demon call is going to be the ritual where actually after communication is established with the demons, you're going to go down there. You're going to go down there and you're going to bring it up, and it will merge with them, and you have communication with it, guidance and assistance for the rest of your life, but you must stay the course. So therefore, it's a complete compendium of practice, unnecessary to anybody. There are 10 degrees of initiation. By the end of this course, you will have established communication. You will have achieved a 7th degree black adept. There are 10 degrees of initiation again, and that's pretty far in spiritual advancement to make it to a 7th degree or to black adept or a adeptus major, I believe, in some lodges. I had to double check on that. I forget they have the Latin stuff. So which I'll double check on that. But yes, so that is our purpose. And if you traverse this path with me, I promise that you will see, you will hear, and you will know for yourself, and never again will need a religion. Hail Satan. Okay, so I was going to make a pendulum evocation ritual to demonstrate the steps. But I'm just going to put the script for it because there's no point in me seeing it and reciting these long prayers and all that. You do that yourself, right? So I'm going to show you how the board works after the prayers are said. Because, again, we have the prayer to Satan, which gives one the ability to communicate. We have the first Enochian key, which opens the gates. We have the call to Samael, which constrains the demon to come forth from the depths. We then have the conjuration, which constrains the demon after being called by Samael to bring it to communicate with you through the board, right? And then you have the welcome, because you always have to be courteous. You always have to, they're for us, and they're not enemies. They're chaotic and balanced forces, but that's only a human that's like a human concept for them. They're just that's just their nature. They're not trying to destroy. They're not trying to, they just, they're fighting for the same things we're fighting for. We're fighting for self-sovereignty, for individuality, for our personal power, and but yeah, we will. I'll bypass all the prayers. However, the Nokin key, it's remember pronunciation guide for that as well. So what I will do, I would recite how the Nokin key should be sounded properly, and you can kind of follow along with the text and how I say it to get the proper pronunciation. I can't pronounce right now. All right. Okay. So we will do that. And then I'll show you the words because I once you get to a certain point, you don't well, at least with your personal guard and guardian, you don't need to use ritual anymore. At first, you need to use to establish communication. Once communication is established, you can dispense with the ritual and just talk to them. However, if you want to contact a demon for a demonic pact, for instance, or one that you do not work with, just for whatever questions you have for it, then you have to use a ritual. Because there are the rules of summoning must be abided by us and by them. So if the rites are said properly and followed step by step, they must answer. Same thing with angels; they must answer. And it's just part of the game. And we must also abide by the rules. Like make a demonic pact. You must abide by the rules of demonic pact summoning, right? And if you violate, then that's on you. Something bad could happen. If they violate, then that's on them. They go back to the abyss. And so it's kind of a tit for tat. Nothing's free in this world. So we kind of make contracts between us. So even after you start working the demon, you must adhere to your agreement, which is to call it unto you. If you violate this, then they get pissed off and they'll leave you. And by the same token, once you are calling with them, they must abide by what you're saying. They must come forth. They must answer your requests. Once they're with you, no pacts necessary. You can simply tell them to do something, and they have to do it. All right. About the prayers and the conjurations, I generally I teach to memorize everything. So what I usually do, this is what I do when I'm learning a new conjuration. I go one sentence at a time, or possibly one paragraph at a time, depending on how long the text is, and I recite it over and over in my mind until I memorize it. And then a second paragraph, or sentence, or whatever the case would be, depending on the size of the text. And in that way, I keep going until I have the whole thing memorized. So I keep repeating the first part over until I remember it. I keep repeating the second part over until I try to remember that, and that's the first part, and so on and so forth. All right. The Anoka language is kind of difficult. I usually memorize the keys that I use frequently, but I'm at the point where I really don't use the keys anymore because my gates are opened. So so I will recite the key for you, give you a better understanding of the proper pronunciation, and we'll go from there. So I will just read again. We are going to use the first Nokin key, and this is my board, and this is the book, and so I have so right here in the book, this is the first Nokin key. I put pronunciation marks so that you can see. How to pronounce each vowel, and I also have a pronunciation key right here, so you can see how the vowels are pronounced. And I also want to show you something else cool here. So this is my ritual book. I've had this for like about 17 years, right? And so I have a bunch of rites here that I've saved over the times. Here's the prayer to Satan. We have here the call of Samael, and the various rituals that were given to us by the demons with which I communicated with, right? And again, this rite was received not by a human, it was received by a fallen angel, right? And so so there's a lot of cool stuff here. I save it because it's kind of like a keepsake for me. It's not part of my ritual journal. We also need to get to that too. you must keep a journal. You must keep a journal to record your progress. Your communications. Always have a pen and paper ready, because the pendulum sometimes takes a while to spell words out. So you must be ready to write down each word at a time, because after you write a word down, and especially if it's like a long word, or sometimes it might be a different language. So you want to make sure you record that so you don't forget it, and even if you just write little points, like, like word, and but not the entire conversation, right? And so you just record just certain words, and it's kind of like a mnemonic device. A mnemonic device that use something to lock something in memory, right? And so you can use simple phrases or simple words to lock the entire conversation in your mind. So there are different ways to go about it. But in general, always keep a pen and paper handy. Always have your journal handy to record the conversation afterwards. Because if you wait till the next day, you still remember the gist of it, but you won't have it verbatim, right? So so do that. So I've had this. I think like 16 years, I think, roughly. All right. So this is the board I use. Okay. So I made this board in 2009, I believe. The swastika is it's just kind of symbol. It is used to to access these satanic forces. All right. But we no longer use it. I mean, if that's your preference, that's fine. However, the true portal is the red upright equilateral triangle with the eye of Satan in the middle. And so that's going to be like our portal. And so through the 9 angles, they rise. I will also have the symbolism for that also in the text of the course. Okay, so so rather than having this, you just have the letters, any style you want, whatever language you speak. If your language is French, Indonesian, Italian, or whatever, you could change the alphabet accordingly, right? So this is mine. We're going counterclockwise. Start A here. I come down around this way, till I get all the way around, right? And so we're going to do that. And so the Enochian key first key is pronounced like this. O son of Va Oreza Ji Goho Yad Balata La Nusahe Ka Elazod Va Nupeho Sobra Zadel Rore Ita Nazoda Pesad Gira Ta Ma Alpareji Ds Howak Kwa No Tehoa Zodemezon Oda Komemahe Ta Dobelohe Zodin Soba Tahil Jinanupe Pareji Aladi Ds Rebeza Obelehe G Resam Kasarame Ohorela Tabapire Ds Zoda Nure Nusaji Kab Erem Yanahe Pilahe Farazodem So Dinorezoda Adana Gono Yadapia DS Hometohe Soba Ipami Louis Pamis DS Loholo Vepe Zolemeda Po Ama Oda Bogira Aita Pi Ape Pi Amo Oda Vu Anu Zodakari Oda Eka Zodomanu Odo Kikale Kwaa Zodareje Lape Zodarido Nokomada Hotai Satan. Alright, and so we're gonna do that. And so after you see the key, then you can call it Samael and the conjuration, all that stuff. I'm going to bypass all that right now, and I will show you how this works. Okay, so you can use anything for a pendulum, doesn't really matter. I've been using this one for ages. The string's dirty, because it's just you know what it is. It's just clipper string. You use a ring. You guys use crystal. I used to use a quartz crystal when I was younger, with a beady string, that cool stuff. But anything that's not too heavy, that will hold him. That will swing freely, but not too freely. Kind of like that. So this year I will call my brother Belial. So first, after you call any demon you're working with, your guardian, whatever, you're gonna say, "Are you here?" And it's gonna start swinging. So, My brother Belial, in the name of Satan, I call you forth. Come forth, communicate with me. Are you here? I'm not moving it. The board moving itself. Then you say, it's going to keep answering yes until you say something. What is thy name? And so part of the ritual of summoning, a spirit cannot lie about its name. So it must answer truthfully about that, right? So right now it's pointing at the B, and it will keep pointing at the B until you call the B out, right? So that's how it works. You say B. And after that, it starts swinging back around again until it comes to the next letter in the name. And of course, we know the next letter is going to be E. It's pointing at E. Now we got E out of the way. E. So I'm gonna come around again. And the next letter again is going to keep pointing at until I either consciously or unconsciously or rather just force my mind to call the name Al. I call it in my mind Al, but I'm going to say Al. All right. And so now it's going to go to the next letter. It's pointing at I. So I'm going to call I. And then it's going to come back around again. And now it's going to point, of course, at A. I'm going to call it A. Again, I'm not moving this. This is the power of the demon. I'm in communication with the fallen angel at present. And so he's pointing at Al. Al, I'm going to call Al. So it's Belial. And that's going to stop. And it's going to sit there and wait for you to ask questions. And once you start asking questions, it will yay, nay. A lot of times they speak in Old English language, right? So that instead of saying no, they might say or rather instead of saying yes, they might say yay. A lot of times they speak in Enochian. Also, spirits speak cryptically sometimes. So you might not understand what it's saying. Just write everything down, letter for letter. But let it make sure let it swing for a number of times at that one letter to make sure that that's the letter that it wants to say. Because if it's speaking a different language that you understand, and you're like what the fuck? You're like, what is this spelling, right? So make sure that it's swinging to that one letter until you make sure that that's the one, and then call it. But write it all down, because you might not know what it means now, but you figure it out later on, right? And so that's how it works. And after you're done communicating with the demon, you're going to give the license to the part that will also be in the script of the course, and and then you send it off to do its thing, right? And you have now acquired the power to communicate with demons. You access the name of a fallen angel to work with. You would then begin. Our next step would be descend to hell. Hail Satan.